Tonight on Joy News Prime, National Security Coordinator justifies forcible removal from office of the Ashanti Region Security Liaison, DCOP OPARE ADDO retired, and accuses him of engaging in criminality.
His term of office or his contract expired, and it was not renewed. I understand that it was not renewed because of non-performance and because of his own criminal activities.
The governing MPP has also been commenting about the incident.
He chose a very loud way of going about it, and it has embarrassed him. I think he should be embarrassed that this incident has happened.
An influential MPP coordinator in the Ashanti region has meanwhile condemned the attack.
And one thing I say a data force. The boys in the choir no office no mean support to
The Electoral Commission says it should soon be possible for eligible voters to register immediately they attain the voting age.
It's an all-round system where citizens who turn 18 may visit any district's office in Ghana with their Ghana card or passport and register as voters.
Polls reforms will also see the polls closing 2 hours earlier.
We propose as a commission to close the polls at 3 p.m. rather than 5 p.m.
In business, Finance Ministry challenges claims of inconsistency between the official public debt stock figures and that quoted by the IMF for Ghana, insisting it adopted international best practice in its computation. The National Road Safety Authority has launched a campaign to encourage drivers to cut their speed to 30 kilometers per hour on inner city roads as a way to significantly reduce the alarming number of fatalities from road crashes.
Join the rest of the world on a worldwide campaign to make a case for 30 kilometers per hour streets for health.
My name is Israel and Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our Fan of our studios at Kokomlimli here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air, and also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is the home of independent, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. Do stay tuned in. The National Security Coordinator, Major General Francis Edu Amanfo retired, has justified the forced removal from office of the Ashanti Regional Security Liaison, DCOP OPARE ADDO. The Regional Security Coordinator has shared details of how he was attacked by some members of the Delta Force Vigilante group and hit with the butt of a gun. The group, according to him, claimed they were acting on orders from above to take Mr. OPARE ADDO to the National Security Office in Accra. He shared a story on PM Express with Evans Mason.
7 young men came to the office and said that the National Security Coordinator has asked them to bring me to Accra. Then they started struggling with me and they handcuffed me. And I told them that I wanted to go and urinate. And one of them followed me and said, and that's why he was following me and said, oh, but we're all men. You can, sorry, I can follow you. I said, no. He followed me to the toilet and I urinated and came back to my office. They closed the door, took our phones, and even one of them hit me with an AK-47 rifle.
You were hit with the butt of the AK-47 rifle?
Yes, with the butt of the AK-47 rifle. And I said, what is this? That they say we should bring you to the National Security Headquarters. And I said, I won't go. So when the police picked up, I don't know what should have been done. But if it was in my time, I would detain all of them. But the police never detained them. And they said we should go and come the next day. That's Wednesday. On Wednesday, I went there, and none of the 7 came to the regional police headquarters. I wrote my statement. My secretary, with whom I was in my office, wrote her statement, and one junior officer, Nanso, who was in his office, and that was also locked. The operations room also wrote a statement. So waiting for what would happen.
So they said you should be brought to the National Security Secretariat headquarters in Accra. Did they identify themselves as true operatives of the National Security Secretariat?
They were not the true operators. Well, I knew 4 of them. Mustafa Staff, Mohammed Saidu, Kerry, and Atta. I knew 4 of them who had been with me in Kumasi. They were coming to my office. They wanted me to go and do this same thing with them, and I never did want that to happen. And the other three, I never knew them. But one mentioned his name as Roxing, the leader of the group, and the like.
During a tour of some 4 mining communities, including the Ashanti and Western regions, Major General Amanfo did not deny the attack. He accused the DCOP, OPARE, of engaging in criminal activities and refusing to vacate office at the end of his tenure.
Of these allegations are vicious, so we need to investigate them before I can make.
When DCOP OPARE has said that he was handcuffed and pushed out of his office, and you are saying the allegations.
He rather called police reinforcement and got the team that went to mitigate the event in Kumasi, and they were handcuffed. It is a team from Accra which was handcuffed.
OPARE wasn't handcuffed?
He wasn't handcuffed.
He wasn't assaulted?
He rather called the police commander, regional commander, to come. And they came and arrested the team that we have sent to Accra. But do you know what? The bottom line of it all is that OPARE had a contract with National Security.
Okay.
And I had not even assumed office. And for 4 years, he was the regional liaison officer for national security. His term of office or his contract expired, and it was not renewed. I understand that it was not renewed because of non-performance and because of his own criminal activities.
Like what, sir?
Like what, sir? What are some of the things that you picked up as an intelligent chief?
But finally, you
how
say
are you addressing these issues so that the president will be comfortable that your men are doing the right?
These issues are being investigated. A team and a committee has been set up, to investigate.
But finally, for me, you say you've transferred the guys to Accra, essentially to do what? To prosecute them?
The guys who
said,
I mean, you mentioned that a team from Accra came and they picked up the alleged.
He had no locus to be in the office because a new officer had been appointed, and he should have handed over to the officer. He says he won't hand over.
Right.
And so that is why a team was sent to Accra to go and mitigate and facilitate the handing and taking over process.
All right.
Now, the Director of Communications of the NPP, Yabwa Benga has criticized the outgoing Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator, DCOP OPARE, for going public about attacks on him. Mr. OPARE was allegedly attacked in his office by members of the pro-NPP vigilante group Delta Force, who were said to have hit him with the butt of an AK-47 assault rifle and forcibly shut his office. But at a news conference in Accra today, Yabwa Benga said Mr. OPARE was embarrassing the party and the state.
Since the passage of the Vigilantism Act, there is nothing like Delta Force in our system. It's been disbanded. Whoever had control of it has disbanded it, and it doesn't exist. Now, the Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator, the gentleman who is the subject of this matter, ought to have left his office long before. His contract has expired. He hasn't responded to any of the entreaties from his headquarters to move on. Not having responded, headquarters felt obliged to go and enforce his removal. Unfortunately, he didn't take kindly to it. He chose a very loud way of going about it, and it has embarrassed him. I think he should be embarrassed that this incident has happened. There is no way he can come out of this incident smelling good, because he has no basis for what he did, which is to oppose his office, to try and maintain himself in an office where his welcome had expired by law. Nobody who went there is from any other organization but the state. I want to make that very, very clear. Unfortunately, he didn't respond well to them, and it has led to this public situation that we have. It's unfortunate, but the embarrassment belongs to him. The embarrassment doesn't belong to the state. The embarrassment belongs to him because he chose to make a spectacle of himself when he ought to have left office at the right time.
But the approach, people have criticized the approach. Couldn't there be a better approach?
I like democratic growth. What is democratic growth? We learn from all that happens. Here is somebody who officially has received letters, officially has had correspondence, verbal as well, to leave office and has refused flatly. Here is somebody who ought perhaps, if he was not satisfied, to have come to his headquarters to inquire, or to wherever he felt he drew his strength from to inquire about his status. He didn't. Now here is that same person who is in office and has resisted all formal means of getting rid of, to the point where now the state has to use minimum force. You know, the state is empowered to use minimum force to enforce the law. The state has to use minimum force to enforce the law. The state comes into your office and you are the first one to react. You were not polite to the state, and then you turn around and say the state was impolite to you. If he had allowed the space, it was a very simple process. All this would not have happened. Whatever has happened is because the gentleman did not allow the formal processes to go on. He did not allow the space. So at the point where they arrived, there was no other way, because they didn't go there violently, but he provoked the violence. Whatever his story is, trying to create an impression that he is angelic and ought to come out as a hero. The bottom line is that he is no hero because he didn't have a right to what he was doing. He is no hero because he didn't deserve to put all of us in that embarrassment when he had no legal rights. He ought not to have done what he did.
So, are you confirming that he alleges to be part of the Delta Force?
This,
absorbed by the...
There is no Delta Force. Nobody has absorbed anybody. The state security agencies have a right to recruit persons, and they do recruit persons. They have their own methods of recruitment. He chooses to use the word Delta Force, and he's supposed to be a state official. He should know that the state banned paramilitary and out-of-state organizations a couple of years ago. He should know. If he claims to be a public official, he should know this for a fact. So how come he is now talking about Delta Force? He's trying to puff himself up?
He mentioned some names.
If I mention your name now as a media terrorist, will you accept it?
Let's speak with security analyst and senior mediation advisor at the UN, Emmanuel Bombande. Good evening to you, and thank you for making time to speak with us. I wonder how all of this comes across to you, but it appears quite chaotic on the national security front. Is that really the case, or there's no cause for alarm?
Thank you, Israel, and good evening to all your viewers. I think you have used the right word. It appears quite chaotic. Let me start by saying that my good friend Yao Asamoah Boabin should not be the one addressing this issue with the public, because he's a party official and not a state official. Once there is an election and a party wins, and the president then assigns duties to various people, such as DCOP, OPARE, ADDO, they no longer belong to the party. They belong to the state. And so state machinery and the efficiency of governance behoves upon all Ghanaians, regardless of your political party affiliation, to relate with such officials as state officials. So when there is a problem, such as the one we are discussing, it should be a state official who should be addressing the matter, such as Major General Amanfo, and not Yao Asamoah Boabin.
So let's stick with Major General Amanfo.
Yes. So then, and if we come to Major General Amanfo, he has muddied the waters further, he has created more confusion, and he has left all Ghanaians aghast.
Let's identify the confusion and all of that.
The confusion is the method by which he confirms that operatives had to go from Accra to Kumasi
to remove from office DCOP OPARE ADDO. The operationalization of an efficient security machinery cannot use those methods to remove somebody who is supposed to be outgoing, as confirmed by he himself in terms of letters. Because once you do that, keep in mind, Israel, it is the responsibility of the state to protect citizens. And how the citizens are confident that the state is protecting them through an efficient coordination of internal security is also about how you go about doing your administrative business and management. When you do this, what that comes across to the people of Ghana is that there is a tough battle. And on that tough battle, the one who is stronger will win. And to that extent, therefore, Ghanaians then will be left wondering, where are we in terms of the protection that the state must provide? So that, for me, is key. And the second element, probably we can begin to take away from the conversation is, Ghanaians must be able to know who are national security operatives. So who should we believe? DCOP, OPARE ADDO, or Major General Amanfo? Because the element of Delta Force is introduced by DCOP, OPARE ADDO. General Amanfo dismisses that. And it's not about whether or not the Delta Force were in operation. It's about the clarity of mind so that when you and I are in any situation where we find security operatives, we can be absolutely confident that they are security operatives of the state. And because they are security operatives of the state, they can be held accountable for their actions. For example, if they infringe on your human right or my human right, the state can be held accountable. And this is where then the confusion lies, and we need to sort this out and sort it out as urgently as possible.
All right, so here's this regional security liaison officer who is supposed to be out of office but refuses to. What are the structures? What are the laid down procedures for getting him out of office?
So first of all, he was appointed through due procedure in which he had letters of appointment, and in which, obviously, in arriving in the region, the representative of the president in the region is the regional minister. And so he had to report to him and be in his office. In the same way, in his exit, he should have the letter that can be authenticated that he has been removed from his office. And because he has been removed from his office, he should no longer occupy that office. Now, the argument is, we don't know if we take the two couples, whose version should we? I think we would want to go with Major General Amanfo. But should we dismiss yesterday's interview on Joy News platform of DCOP OPARE ADDO?
Indeed, and I'd want us to look at that because he raises issues of criminality on the part of the operatives or so-called operatives who came to him. Meanwhile, we're hearing the National Security Coordinator also impugning criminality on his part. How do we reconcile that? And indeed, who are we to believe?
Indeed, who are we to believe? But it even gets more complicated and confusing when you begin to look at the various elements. Now, keep in mind that Ghanaians have a history and a memory. It's not that this is the first time this is visiting us. In the Ayawaso West Wagon by-election, out of the Emil Short Commission, what we knew was that people who were used as national security operatives, such as some of them employed or some of them simply introduced, turned out not to be the national security operatives that we know. So with that in the back of our mind, we are subjecting every situation to be able to ascertain, are they real national security operatives or not? And our security couples must be the first to know this. I know for a fact that up to 5 incidences of such magnitude have occurred in 2021. As a matter of fact, a few weeks ago, a group tried to prevent my friend Boniface Agambila from taking office as the Northern Development Authority CEO. People had to come in, and luckily the situation did not emerge as a crisis. And each time there is always a doubt about they are either vigilante groups or they are vigilante groups who are employed in national security or they are national security operatives. Ghanaians need to have clarity. Who are our security operatives?
Indeed.
And secondly, who do we believe? The national security coordinator or the outgoing regional security liaison of Ashanti region?
All right, Mr. Bombani, I want to come to you for us to figure out how we resolve a situation like this. But here's some other information which would help the conversation. Because in a related development, the MPP coordinator for the new Zongo electoral area, Nana Ajimang Otre, has condemned the attack on the regional security liaison, DCOP OPARE ADDO. Nana Ajimang Otre, who is respected by members of youth groupings within the governing party, says the attack was not sanctioned by Delta Force, adding that those who stormed the office did so on their own accord. He wants the law to go after the assailants and for the actions to be roundly condemned. Let's listen to him.
I don't think any leader of this group asked any member to go and get the national security liaison out of office.
But papa was also a lawyer. One of the Sakas and one twin signs a Delta Force.
DCOP OPARE ADDO must avoid saying Delta Force members pushed him out of office. Though the act, I must admit, was wrong.
No. Now, I'd go to me condemn and say, the boys in the choir no office, no, mean support tobacco crowd.
The boys didn't go in the name of Delta Force. Delta Force, I must say, is no longer in existence.
I want to appetit. I want to appetit because the momo and abandon on pa who need to me so baby. So by no or no I can't say also no Delta Force. We need invisible. Abandon a kind of Namikayo. It did the Abana cano. Maybe need to be visa messages Abana Casa.
Now let's allow the law to take its full course.
All right, Mr. Bombande, I'm coming back to you. So here we have an influential member of the New Patriotic Party in Kumasi who's saying that, he condemns the actions of the so-called operatives who went to the office of the regional security liaison. But then we've also heard from the MPP communications director who seems to be on the side of the guys who took those actions.
Israel, there are 2 points. One, we can agree with him, and one, we will strongly disagree with him. Where we would all agree with him, and I believe most Ghanaians would agree with him, is that the law should take its course and justice should be seen to be done. However, if he's the coordinator of New Zongo electoral area, why is he trying to defend the actions or not of Delta Force? Why is he saying Delta Force was not involved when he's saying Delta Force does not exist? So there's a problem of logic. There's a problem of basic common understanding. So basically, he has a new name, but he's still Delta Force. And the reason I say this is simple. It is not because people said Delta Force was disbanded that it was disbanded. The disbandment as an announcement is misleading and deceitful. And that's why we are saying that there must be the political will across the board. Everybody must agree that this is a monster, as the theme of your discussion last night portrayed, so that we can all rise above this monster and deal with it. But the confusion continues to muddy the waters when you come with a new name, but you defend Delta Force. But having made this observation, is it not the appeal for the justice system to hold everybody accountable, regardless of who you are, that Ghanaians are fighting for? And to that extent, it's not just this incident, it is the incidents that came before it. Is it not also true that both the media and other actors said, if you look on one side over an incident and the arm of justice refuses to function, what you have done is to create a precedent, and subsequent incidents will continue to happen, and the justice system will be paralyzed.
Mr. Bombani,
and that is what we continue to see happening.
Mr. Bombani, my final question to you is, how do we resolve this confusion in the national security apparatus? Because we're having what you describe as some sort of turf war.
It is a turf war. I recall very well, it was in your studios. I think it was PM Express, when I stated categorically that our security architecture under the current dispensation is too top-heavy. You have too many people with too many roles functioning all in the area of the coordination of security. If there was an advice I could put across for the listening ear of our president, he has to be the one as the commander-in-chief to immediately seize this opportunity and reorganize his entire security architecture and make it less top-heavy, eliminate the duplications, and make it much easier to govern, and allow a clarity of command structure so that it is not just government, but all Ghanaians can relate to who is in charge at what level, in order that we can be able to see our way through. But the reason why it's even more urgent and important is because in our neighborhood across West Africa, for example, we don't have the time, but I could have given you the example of the Kolwego in Burkina Faso, who were militant groups like Delta Force and later on became terrorist groups. And that is why, for the sake of what we have, which is our treasure, which is our peace and our security, the president, in my advice, should take this as seriously as possible and sanitize the entire security machinery, remove the duplication, and make it easier to manage administratively.
All right.
I don't want to be speculative and specific, but I'm sure the president would be able to know that in sanitizing the security agencies, some of them have to be completely, if you would call it, suppressed.
Especially because while all of this is going on, the turf war and all of that, people will wonder, what is the state of national security, or who is securing the nation if national security, as it were, is in some form of confusion?
Absolutely, absolutely. And your point is so right, because people are forgetting that the emphasis is national security, as you have underlined. And God forbid, if we look on the side and these theft wars continue, going by our history, political parties begin to campaign for positions both at national executive level, members of parliament, and presidential candidates. That theft war will now continue in the political field, particularly in NPP. And who is the strongest will be the one who would deploy the strongest apparatus available as security. At that point, the total confusion would simply make us not to be able to cope. And we'll become our worst enemies by shooting ourselves in the foot. So this is as urgent as it is in the responsibility of government to ensure that the citizens are well protected. We cannot have good initiatives such as the Accra Initiative, such as the framework for the prevention of terrorism and counter-extremism that was led by Honorable Kandapa as Minister for Internal Security. And with all these nice policies in place, we are not able to see our way through because people are fighting within the security machinery and undermining how Ghana's security is efficient and well coordinated.
All right.
And the consequence will be all of us would lose.
All right. Thank you very much, Senior Mediation Advisor at the UN, Emmanuel Bombande is a security analyst as well. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break at this point, but we have more stories coming your way. Do stay tuned in.
And welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aite. The Finance Ministry is challenging claims of serious inconsistency between the IMF and Ghana on debt stock computation. Now, this follows media reports which sought to raise some data credibility issues after IMF and government put out different figures on the December ending debt stock. There is more in the following Business Desk report. The Finance Ministry in a statement noted that debt calculations all over the world are based on internationally accepted practice, that is central government classification and general government classifications. And for the record, Ghana government reports in the central government classification, which includes the computation of debts of all the ministries, departments and agencies, but excludes local government, state-owned enterprises or other investment interest of government, apart from debts guaranteed by the central government. Consequently, Ghana's public debt stock is calculated as all the debt incurred by all ministries, departments and agencies, and any other debt that the central government guarantees for the local government or SOEs. The minister argues that with the above classification, the 2020 public debt as percent of GDP was indeed 76.1%. It therefore argues that the difference came about because the IMF decided to add the energy sector debt, or ESLA. Now, the Ministry of Finance noted that this approach used by the IMF is not in line with the central government debt classification used by government, which is accepted worldwide. Now, Ghana has been chosen by the international community to serve as a case study for neighboring countries on safeguarding the use of online services for the benefit of all. To this end, the country has been hosting the Joint Freedom Online Conference to share its experiences on cybersecurity operations and best practices. Speaking with Joy Business, the National Cybersecurity Advisor said that the country has made enormous progress in ensuring that businesses are safe online. Here is more. The Freedom Online Conference afforded Ghana the platform to explain some initiatives undertaken to safeguard the country's digital space and also protect the human rights of online users and the rights of businesses. This is part of a 4-priority area by the Freedom Online Coalition to strengthen government engagement in combating cyber fraud. The National Cybersecurity Advisor, Albert Nchiboisianko, told Joy Business that Ghana continues to lead in the West African sub-region when it comes to online safety practices.
Sharing our experiences, we just passed the Cybersecurity Act. How do we as a country develop our cybersecurity programs at the same time respecting the right of citizens? So Ghana is being used more or less like a case study. We've been able to come out with a legislation that is viewed as a human rights centric. So other countries on the continent are looking to best practices, and I think the gathering here, the hosting of the event, is to really share our experiences by way of dialogue with the civil society, by way of collaborations, even across the political divide, to ensure that there's a consensus. It's a security issue. So we achieve our cybersecurity objectives whilst also promoting the right of our citizens.
The Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Esla Osu-Akufo, has also disclosed that the ministry is in talks with the Ministry of Finance to activate the Cybersecurity Fund. According to her, the fund will help the Cybersecurity Center operate effectively as mandated by the new Cybersecurity Act.
It's a matter of absolute priority for government that we scale up our cybersecurity efforts. And that's why we worked so hard to pass the law, because there was no enabling comprehensive legislation to regulate this area. And a lot was happening, but it's as if it was a no man's land. So now that we have the law in place, we are working to operationalize the Cybersecurity Authority this year. The law also makes provision for a cybersecurity fund. We're working with the Ministry of Finance to activate that as well. We're in the process of securing office accommodation for them, providing them with the training and capacity building that they need, hiring locally and internationally Ghanaian expatriates in this sector to come and help us with our digital security initiative.
The minister also assured that all efforts are being made to ensure that Ghana's exposure to hackers is minimized. The event is a follow-up to the 8th Annual Freedom Online Conference hosted by Ghana last year. And that'll be it for business for this segment. Sports is up next with Gary L. Smith to stay.
Thank you for staying with us on Joy News Prime. I'm Gary L. Smith with the sport. Quick update on what's happening in the Premier League top 4 race. Chelsea are currently drawing 0-0 with Leicester City in part 2 of their game. You know, Leicester City beat them in the FA Cup final. That's 0-0. Earlier, Manchester United won and they drew 1-1 against Fulham. And very interesting score. Now, Manchester City are being beaten by 3-2 by Brighton and Hove Albion. Yes, Man City are losing by 3-2 against Brighton and Hove Albion. I'll give you an update by the time I finish. But it's all leading up to a very interesting discussion about the European football season finale. And tomorrow on PM Express, we have a special show for you, including this guest.
Hello from wonderful Barcelona. This is Guillem Balaguer. I am a journalist and a writer. I'm a biographer of Messi, Cristiano, Pochettino, Pep Guardiola, Rafa Benitez. And I work as well for the BBC in the UK, for CBS in America, La Liga TV, all over the world. I've got my own podcast, the Pure Football Podcast. I write for the newspaper Sport, Spanish newspaper. Anyway, this long introduction is to tell you that I'll be with Gary Al Smith on PM Express at 9 p.m. Ghana time to talk all things football, from Messi to La Liga, whatever you want really. European football, the Champions League, the Europa League final, I've been both of them, so we can preview them. Anyway, it'll be a lovely chat and I cannot wait for it. That's Wednesday, 9 p.m. Ghana time with Gary L. Smith in PM Express.
My father will like the way he pronounces it. Anyway, so Guillem will be on together with a couple of guests we will tell you about in the next 24 hours tomorrow on PM Express. Anyway, here in Ghana, Black Stars coach C.K. Akono has denied claims that the leadership of the GFA imposed players on him, despite the position of the association's president that invited players must be vetted by the management of the national team. Here's a report by Mukhtar Nabila Abdullahi.
Media reports countless times have indicated that there is interference in terms of call-up for various national teams in the country. Recently, C.K. Akono, head coach of the Black Stars, claimed he is his own man and decisions to call players to play for the Black Stars is solely determined by him and his technical team.
I'm the coach. I'm the one who is in charge of it, in charge of the team, the call-ups. Of course, football is not made by one person alone. Or, I have an assistant here that I do discuss a lot of things with. I have the video analyst as well who looks at the players, who is better, who is not good, who can fit into what we want to do, and that is how we work. And so based on these facts, we invite the players. All of them are doing well, don't get it wrong, all of them are doing well, but we look at what we want to do and how we want to play, and based on these facts, we invite them. I don't work alone, football is not made alone. You yourself, you can even bring an idea. It's my choice to pick or not.
The position of C.K. Akono is contrary to the several media reports that suggest that the leadership of the football governing body dictates to him on who should be part of the Black Stars. Veteran coach J.E. Sapon claims no one can convince him that players selected to play for the Black Stars or any national team in the country have no influence from any member within the Football Association.
The teams are formed based on the technical ability of the players. And a selection is made looking at the team you are going to meet, the strengths and weaknesses of the team you are going to meet, who are fit at the training session to meet that team. So sometimes a very good player may be left out on the bench because of what the coach wanted and because he may not play the way he should play against that particular team. It doesn't mean that the player doesn't know how to play. But this is where a management member will go around. Oh, Nat, today I didn't see you in the team. So what happened? Oh, coach, the coach doesn't like me. The coach takes money from the players. That's why today he sent me to go and buy watch. I didn't go. So he's annoyed. A whole lot of stories go around. And this thing moves into the citadel of the national teams.
Well, so the conversation continues. Anyway, Chelsea have scored, but it's been chalked off for offside due to a check by VAR. So the game, I'll be giving you updates on that on the other side of 8. Thank you for your time. I'm Gary Al Smith, and that's the sport.
So Stoneboy, he was
you don't
on.
find yourself in that category. You're really young.
Okay, let's not talk about me. Let's talk about Stoneboy. Stoneboy was on Showbiz A to Z at the weekend, and he's been sharing his views on the Fix the Country campaign that has been or still ongoing. And here's what he has to say.
We are all involved. We are all Ghanaians.
Yeah.
I think I have tweeted a thing about it before, and we surely need fixing.
Exactly.
So one day at a time, we shall be fixed.
Small we will reach
because
there.
there is a will for all of us are willing to fix things from the people in government.
Exactly.
You can hear some of them come out and say, yes, indeed. The financial minister has come up, yes, indeed. So that means that there is truly something that we need to be doing. In the end, we don't ever finish fixing. The developed countries are always every day also fixing things. How much more us that think that we don't need fixing? We do need fixing. The country really does. You know.
Maybe so.
And when you talk about the country, you know that the country is not just a geographical location. It's a collection of everything.
Everything. The people, the government, the workers,
fixing, then you can imagine.
Dance all that Stoneboy there. Easy, I know that ADDO'S is your favorite song. And so I spoke to Diana Hamilton, and she had somebody perform the song for you, especially for you. Please, David, if you have it, this is for Easy. Thank you so much.
Diana asked that
we performed it for you. This is special.
Like really?
Yes. Do you love it though?
No comment. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Becky, for bringing us Showbiz. Let's quickly look at the top stories on my Joy Online before we leave. DCOP OPARE had no locus to be in office. His contract has expired. National Security Coordinator. Final year JHS students allegedly commit suicide at Bakonibia. I think North MP's case, Amaliba files motion to withdraw as lawyer. Those who created the national security monster have lost control. That's Kwesi Ening. I was traumatized by police sirens Kokonyidoho on its national security experience. So those are some of the stories you can find on myjoyonline.com. But that'll be it for those of you who are watching on Joy Prime. But there's more news from the Joy News channel. Do stay tuned in. The governing MPP says it is a better manager of the economy despite recent agitations over what some say is a worsening cost of living. The party's Director of Communications, Jao Boabinga Samwa, explained some of the tough tax measures announced in the recent budget as a temporary measure deployed by government to ensure that Ghana's economy recovers from the impact of COVID-19. Some Ghanaians in recent virtual protests dubbed Fix the Country have demanded, among others, improved living conditions and better governance. Mr. Samwa says government has a track record of fixing challenges.
Whilst it is worrying, what is worrying is the weaponization of generalized complaints. Knowing our limitations, perhaps we must stress innovative solutions along with critique rather than lamentations only. Yes, we are entitled to lament, but according to Article 41 of the 1992 Constitution, we also have a personal duty to protect public assets, pay taxes, and avoid corruption. Going forward, Ghanaian society as a whole needs to look to more constructive engagement, accepting that the different parties are here to stay, but needing to select the party that can best take us into the 22nd century. The New Patriotic Party believes it is that party. The performance of the MPP in the context of the Fourth Republic justifies that belief. I repeat, the MPP has been better managers of the economy, providing cutting-edge social service and social capital solutions and demonstrating strong political will. Wisdom has it that the biggest national fear at the start of the Fourth Republic was a fear of an incumbent refusing to hand over. Several changes of regime later, the quality of governance is what is at stake. Perhaps the 8-year cycle of electoral change has outlived its usefulness. We are at a crossroads. It is time to make a choice.
The Electoral Commission has announced an ambitious project of registering eligible voters all year round, announcing new proposals for future elections. Electoral Commission Chairperson Jean Mensah says they will also be seeking to end voting at 3 p.m. instead of 5 p.m. so officials could finish counting the ballots early enough. The proposals were announced at a 2-day election review workshop with political parties and other stakeholders, from where Kwekwe Sante reports.
The Electoral Commission is touting as a huge success its organization of the 2020 elections. Opposition NDC rejected the outcome of the election and even filed an election petition challenging the results, a petition the Supreme Court dismissed as meritless. At an EC IPAC review workshop, the Commission says its cost-effective decisions saved the country 522 million cedis.
As a nation, we succeeded in saving our dear country a whooping sum of 90 million United States dollars. That is 522 million Ghana cedis, at the time when the cost of elections world over keeps increasing. And mind you, these savings were achieved in spite of additional costs associated with the COVID-19.
EC Chairperson Jean Mensah also claims no cases of COVID-19 were recorded during the registration of voters and the exhibition of the voters' register.
As a country, we were able to undertake all our electoral processes, from the preparation of a brand new voters' register with over 17 million persons in 38 days, through to the exhibition of the register, to the filing of nominations, and to election day, without the spread of the COVID-19 virus. And indeed, no life was lost to COVID-19 as a result of our activities. We need to mark and document the fact that, as a result of the stringent safety protocols put in place, the number of reported cases stood at 0 at the end of the registration exercise.
According to the EC, the last election was fully funded by the government without donor support. But there are those who have labeled the 2020 election as the most bloody after 7 people lost their lives across the country. The EC says it cannot be blamed for the violence.
Also is the violence that occurred in about 5 centers and which led to the death of 7 citizens of our dear country. I use this occasion to clarify that the Electoral Commission is not responsible for election security. We need to define clearly, without a shadow of doubt, whose responsibility it is to guarantee security on election day and to place the responsibility on their shoulders.
But for future election, the EC wants polls to close at 3 p.m. instead of 5 p.m.
We propose as a commission to close the polls at 3 p.m. rather than 5 p.m. Again, we propose to do away with the system of periodic nationwide registration exercises and institute an all-round system where citizens who turn 18 or persons who have not previously registered may visit any district's office in Ghana with their Ghana card or passport and register as voters.
This 2-day election review, according to the EC, will allow it to improve future elections together with stakeholders. 8 political parties, including the NPP, were present, but conspicuously missing was the largest opposition, the NDC. The party claims the electoral management body rigged the 2020 election and will be reviewing its working relationship with the EC.
So as you heard, the opposition NDC stayed away from the workshop in line with the decision to boycott any EC activity having to do with the 2020 election. But chairman of the 2020 campaign of the governing MPP agrees with the commission on its plan to end polling at 3 p.m. instead of 5 p.m.
Well, I think once the number of polling stations have been increased, which will reduce the number of people or voters per polling station, it will mean that it will take less hours to finish voting. And automatically, when you finish voting, the next major thing is to count. So if we can bring the counting down so that we can count in the full glare of the sun rather than in darkness, and that ultimately also affects the way our collation systems are done. Because when collations are also done in the dark, it creates confusion and problems. So if we can reduce that, I think it can help us. And I know other countries who have bigger numbers like us, because Nigeria has close to 120,000 polling stations with over 80 million registered voters, and they close at 3 and count and finish on time. So it will help make the election more open and transparent in the sun than in the dark when the lights fail us or where there are no electricity at all.
Lawyer for Asin North MP Abraham Amaliba has filed a motion to withdraw as lawyer for the MP. Abraham Amaliba on the 12th of May accused the trial judge, Justice Kwesi Boakye, of bias, an accusation he couldn't substantiate, and the application was refused. In court on Tuesday, Joe Jachi Kwesin's lawyer, Abraham Amaliba, filed a motion saying his continuous presence in the matter as counsel for the MP was with a conviction that the judge has predetermined the matter will not augur well for the interest of his client and the administration of justice. Richard Kojo-Nyako was in court and has come through with this report.
Before Tuesday's sitting, Mr. Amaliba had filed 2 applications. The one that bordered on the allegations of bias against the presiding judge, Justice Kwesi Boakye, was dismissed because he had no evidence to back his allegations, while the other, that was on the stay of proceedings, was scheduled to be heard today. Mr. Amaliba showed up in court on Tuesday praying the court to grant his wishes to enable him withdraw from the case. He intimated although his wish for the judge to recuse himself never materialized, he was of the conviction that there is still the real likelihood of bias and he could not be a party in such an enterprise. A member of the legal team of the Asin North MP, Abdullahi Al-Hassan, speaks about the actions of Mr. Amaliba.
Mr. Amaliba, who is the lawyer for the first respondent, has filed a motion to withdraw from the matter because he still believes that there's a likelihood of bias, though his application was refused the last time. And he thinks that with that mindset as a lawyer or a counsel for the first petitioner in the case, it will not serve the interests of his client and it will not serve his interests either. And so it is proper for him to withdraw from the matter and allow the first respondent to look for a different lawyer to replace him.
Counsel for the applicant, Frank Davis, expressed his unhappiness about the turn of events. He stated that Mr. Amaliba could simply have withdrawn from the case and another lawyer substituted so the case could continue. He, however, indicated the applicant would continue to submit himself to the directions of the courts. Richard Techimensa, a representative of Michael Ankuma Nimfa, the applicant, believes it is a time-wasting ploy by the Asin North MP, but they will not relent.
No, I'm not a lawyer, but all that we know is that a lawyer could have appeared before the judge today to tell the judge that indeed he is taking over from lawyer Abraham Amaliba as the new lawyer for the first respondent. But he decided to put in an application, and that application is slated for 1st June. This is a clear attempt by the first respondent and his legal team to delay the case. But we are confident that the key people will say that no matter what they do, we have the view that the case is going to be dealt with expeditiously so that the final judgment will be given.
The presiding judge, Justice Kwesi Boakye, adjourned the case to the 1st day of June, where Mr. Amaliba is expected to move the motion for his withdrawal from the case. The court will also take a decision on the stay of proceedings filed by the legal team of the Asin North MP if at the adjourned date the MP has secured the services of another lawyer. Michael Ankuma Nimfa, a resident from the Asin North constituency, is challenging the eligibility of the MP in court. He says the MP held a dual citizenship at the time of filing his nomination to contest the 2020 parliamentary elections and thus was not qualified. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejenyako, Cape Coast.
Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Jinapor says he's not renewed nor issued any mining license to any mining firm since he became the sector minister. He says the sector minister is the only person clothed with the authority to sign for the renewal and subsequent issuance of mining permits. Mr. Jinapor expressed shock over how Extra Gold Mining Limited, a company owned by the National Women's Organizer of the governing MPP, KJMFA, got its license renewed. The sector minister, speaking to my colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson, said the issues will be investigated.
One of the license in March 24 about KJ4. I don't know whether you've seen that renewal license as well.
I'm perplexed about that because I was.
But does it look authentic to you?
Well, that will be investigated. I was sworn in as minister on 5th March, and since I've been minister, I've not signed any license. Okay. And the only person who has authority under law to sign a mining right or to approve a mining right is the Minister for Lands and Nature. Now I've not signed any mining license. I've not extended any mining license.
You've not renewed any?
I've not, and so I'm surprised about it. That's what I'm saying.
The minister, who has been on a tour to assess the level of devastation and pollution of the country's water bodies caused by activities of illegal miners, insisted the military task force would continue to destroy and burn mining equipment, including excavators used for illegal mining.
They are demobilizing the excavators, they are decommissioning them, they are making them incapable of functioning and therefore incapable of being used for the illegality that they are involved in.
By burning them? By setting them ablaze, actually.
By getting them demobilized, that's the word I will use, whether through burning, through removing the parts or whatever. But Chief, the point we should also ask ourselves as a people is, the first question, what will an excavator be doing on River Pra? That's the first question. What will an excavator be doing on River Ofin? We don't construct roads on River Ofin. So what will an excavator be doing there? And so, and the destruction you've seen, I've made that point. And the point is that extraordinary times requires extraordinary measures. And where we are, the red zones which have been declared will require extraordinary enhanced measures.
The Ghana Health Service says all is set for the rollout of the second dose of the COVID-19 vaccination starting Wednesday. According to Director General Dr. Patrick Kumar-Bwaji, eligible persons to receive the second dose of AstraZeneca vaccines have already been prompted by text messages to ensure the orderliness of distribution. According to him, 360,000 Ghanaians are expected to be fully vaccinated at the end of the 7-day period. Here are excerpts of a news conference on the vaccine rollout on Tuesday afternoon.
We will start on the 19th, which is tomorrow. But so far, we have had refresher training. As part of our preparation, we have had to do a refresher training on the representatives of the 43 districts who completed the 12 on the May of 2029. And this is mainly we had a lot of work on the database because the data is extremely important because that was how we need to now show that we have changed the cards, and so our data requirements also need to be more accurate. We have to work on the logistics, and all vaccines have been distributed to the sites where vaccination will take place. The target communication for sensitization for where you can have your vaccine, side effects, among others, and all the concerns that we are following up either from our AEFI on some of the communication that we hear from the community. We are doing that, and also community engagement continue to go on. We have trained our national monitors and will be deployed. We are being deployed today. We are in preparation for tomorrow's start of the vaccination in all the 43 districts. And as has already been mentioned by the President, vaccination starts tomorrow morning. Those in the first, those who had their first dose from the 1st to the 9th March will be the one that will be covered. And we are hoping that by 26th of May we'll finish, but it's really not a definite. We'll just go on until all the 360 are vaccinated. And if we are able to get more vaccines immediately, we will continue. So the designated facilities will also be communicated by SMS. I'm sure some of you may have received their SMS already that you are due for vaccination, and it is coming in phases. I'm sure by the end of the day, most people would have received their message as to where to go, and the fact that they have been identified as a group to receive vaccines.
According to him, efforts are being made to secure extra vaccines to inoculate the remaining 500,000.
We have also made a revision on our cards. When you go to the site, first you have to go to, we are advocating that you go to where you receive your first dose. Go there with your card. Your card will be reviewed to look at the date you will receive your vaccination, and then it will be replaced. It will be replaced because we have had some change, more enhanced features for the card that we will receive. Then if you look on the right, there is the QR code. Anytime you enter, there's a number that is written at the back of your card. That's what is generated as ID number for you, unique ID number for you. Once it's there and you take your smartphone to scan, it will ask you for your ID number. Once you enter, your total, all your information will appear on the phone. And this is so that whether you're at the airport or so, and anybody wants to validate that you are really being vaccinated, your name, so you can buy them, so you're able to pull out your results immediately. And you can also check for yourself to see if you want further information on that. When you go and you feel that there are any errors in the initial entry, it's an opportunity for them to also correct that for you.
Over 6,000 members of the Senior Staff Association in 10 public universities have declared an indefinite strike. They're protesting the government's failure to pay accumulated Tier 2 pension contributions, award of market premium and non-basic allowance of members. The association is unhappy with government's failure to heed to its grievances. Ohiming Teria reports.
The senior staff accused government of deliberately breaching the National Pension Act by refusing to pay their monthly contributions plus interest to members of the association since 2010. Leadership of the association from all the 10 public universities converge at KNUST to declare the strike, taking immediate effect. Zakaria Mohammed is the national president.
In furtherance to our letter dated 7th May 2021, served on the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, declaring our intention to embark on an industrial action, I wish on behalf of the National Executive Council to announce the complete is the operational word, underline, the complete withdrawal of services by members of the Senior Staff Association, University of Ghana, with immediate effect until all the following protracted demands are resolved. 1. Payment of our Tier 2 pension arrears with accrued interest as agreed, spanning from 2010 to 2016. 2. Award of market premium and non-basic allowance. And 3. The finalization of negotiation on our conditions of service by Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. All members of Senior Staff Association, Universities of Ghana, are therefore required to lay down their tools until further notice.
The Senior Staff Association announced the introduction of a task force on all the 10 campuses to ensure full compliance to the strike. Mr. Zakaria says any member who flouts the orders of the leadership faces expulsion from the association.
We have given all basic schools, hospitals, fire service, security 1 week. 1 week. If government of Ghana does not respond to the demands, we withdraw, total withdrawal. In fact, security will go, fire service will go, basic schools will go, everybody will go. And by extension, we are also adding that no skeletal staff is going to be left in the office of any principal office. Even if you are a medical doctor in the office of a vice chancellor and you were in the middle of your surgical operation, ladies and gentlemen, you are supposed to leave. You are supposed to leave. Yes. A task force is going to be put in place. Any campuses that violate the directives of the National Executive Council will be suspended, will be highly suspended. Those universities will be seen as enemies of senior staff of public universities in Ghana and will be dealt with accordingly.
Members providing essential services such as those in basic schools, campus security and fire service are expected to join the strike from next week. The association, however, warned any attempts by government to victimize its members would be resisted.
I don't think there's going to be any victimization. The strike is legal. We've written to the Labour Commission of Ghana, and the law requires us to notify them 7 clear working days, which we have done, and there's nothing illegal about it. If anybody tries to victimize any of our members, our association slogan is touch one, you touch all. It's not going to happen. Want the federal university to be completely shut down. Let them victimize a single soul, not even a file that belongs to a member of senior staff. Yes. It will incur the wrath of the National Executive Council.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oimi Ntibia reporting. Drivers.
Deaths and injuries arising from road crashes in Ghana are nearing crisis point, so much so that National Road Safety Authority says drastic measures are needed to lower the frightening statistics. At the launch of the Global Road Safety Week in Accra Tuesday, the authority outdoored a campaign to encourage drivers to cut their speed to 30 kilometers per hour on city roads. NRSA Director General Miobri Ebwa says she expects the new campaign to help significantly reduce crashes along with deaths and injuries. Judith Awochetando reports.
There have been several road crashes in the first 4 months of 2021, leaving 1,034 persons dead and 5,668 injured, resulting in approximately 9 deaths per day. This, the National Road Safety Authority says, is frightening.
Between January and April this year, like we saw, road traffic crashes have killed over 1,000 people and injured over 5,000 others. In working in this industry has taught me one thing. It is that we have reached a tipping point where neither platitudes nor half-hearted measures can save the situation. We must accept the reality of what it is. We must accept that road traffic crashes and deaths have become both a national tragedy and indeed a matter of international concern.
For this reason, the authority is launching a new campaign dubbed Love 30, aimed at sensitizing drivers to stick to a 30 kilometers per hour speed limit. Mayor of Accra, Mohammed J. Soa, joined the authority to launch the campaign.
Today, we join the rest of the world on a worldwide campaign to make a case for 30 kilometers per hour streets for health. This year's program, which is under the theme Street for Life, Love 30 unites campaigners worldwide for walkable, safer, and climate-friendly streets and vital child rights, including safe environments for children to move around and play.
Also highlighted was the alarming rate of deaths, especially among motorcycles and pedestrians. Raphael Lewa is Regional Surveillance Advisor for Africa Vital Strategies.
What is most intriguing here is that pedestrians are always at risk of death. In fact, for the last 10 years in Accra, pedestrian deaths have been above 60%, almost for the last 10 years, right? So clearly, pedestrians are most at risk of death. And I always say that at each point in time, we are all pedestrians, so we are all at risk. But also, most importantly, the proportion of deaths among motorcycle users is the highest in the last 10 years in Accra. Over the last 10 years, it's hovered between as low as 5%, it goes 15%. In 2018, it was 22%. That we thought was the highest. But in 2019, it fell again. And then in 2020, like I said, in the last 10 years, this is the highest, 28%.
As the world marks Global Road Safety Week, the National Road Safety Authority says it's doing all it can to promote the needed education on road safety protocols. Judith Awochetando. Join.
A final year JHS student of the Miracle Educational Academy at Bakuniaba in the Sunyani municipality of the Bono region has been found dead in what the police suspect to be a case of suicide. 14-year-old Letitia Tre Pinamang was found hanging from the ceiling in the school's dining hall Monday night. A note found at the scene reads in part, "This world is full of sorrow and pain, and I can't live anymore." It is not immediately known what led to the incident, but it happened while the rest of her colleagues were at the church auditorium for Bible studies. Precious Simevo visited the school and our reports.
This is where 14-year-old Letitia Chere Pinaman, a JHS 3 student of Miracle Education Academy at Bakuniaba in Sunyani, allegedly hanged herself. She is described by her friends and teachers as a calm and brilliant student who tops her class. The house mistress, Giftie Champon, explains she was at the kitchen working on food for the student when her colleagues, who returned from Bible studies to eat at the dining hall, drew her attention to the incident.
I came to the kitchen to come and see how things are moving with the food. About 5-10 minutes, the Bible studies was over, and I saw the kids coming out in their numbers straight to the dining hall. So as I saw them come, I said, okay, then let me get the food ready for them. So on my way of preparation, I heard them shouting, "Auntie, Auntie, Letitia, Auntie, come and see Letitia." So I asked them, what is wrong with Letitia? All that they can do was screaming and shouting. So I rushed to the dining hall, and as I got there, she has hanged herself. She's a final year student. And with her, she's like a calm, brilliant. I think she even topped the class.
Cindy Cherme is her colleague and friend. She said her brilliant friend was moody on the day of the incident, but she failed to open up despite all attempts they made.
Letitia is a person who doesn't want to share her emotional feelings with anybody. She wants to keep things to herself. She wants to find her own solution to her problems. Yesterday, she was in class. They rang the bell for breakfast. She didn't come out, so I decided not to talk. First break, I asked her, "Letitia, let's go and eat." She said she won't eat, so I personally came out to buy food for her. She didn't eat, and later on I saw her eating, and I said that's fine. But I didn't talk to her. She was there sitting, putting her head on the table. Teachers were asking Letitia why. She said nothing. The teacher called her 3 times. She didn't go. So closing, she just went to the dormitory. We have something. I said, Tewe. She responded, Tewe, let's go to church. She said she's coming, so I'll come and meet her. So we came, we were all here. All of a sudden, I didn't know what happened. I didn't even see her coming out. I used to share food for them. After church service, they said I should serve the children. So one girl just shouted, and I said, Kezia, why? She said I should come out and see. And I also called our house mistress. The boys were even there. They saw her. She was just hanging there.
The house mistress also said they found a note on a table at the scene, adding they, especially the family, are yet to come to terms with the situation.
There was a table very close to her. There was this note on it, Finland's like she's not happy. This word is full of sorrow and pain. She can't live anymore. She wants to die. She's sorry to the mother and the father and her teachers and friends.
Was it her handwriting?
That one, like the police is just to find out. They have come for it and they are on it. The parents, like, what I can say is, it's not easy for them. They are finding it difficult to accept it, that the daughter committed a suicide.
The head of security at the school, Christopher Tewia, said it is not easy for an outsider to have access to the school. The Sunyani Divisional Crime Officer, DSP Kinsley Redu, confirmed the incident to Joy News as investigation continue. For Joy News, Precious Simevo, Sunyani.
We're taking a break to bring you more business news to stay tuned.
Yeah, welcome back to Business. I'm Charles Aiche. The Employment and Labor Relations Ministry has called for collaborative support from the Ghanaian German Center to help bridge the gap in the labor sector. Now, the Deputy Director of Policy Planning and Evaluation at the Ministry, Ernest Berko, indicates that it is important to create a synergy between stakeholders and the Ministry to find alternative and comprehensive paths to employment creation in the country. There is more in this report. The Ghanaian German Center for Jobs, Migration and Reintegration, in partnership with the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations, has launched a hybrid edition of the Ghana Job Fair. In his remarks, the coordinator of the Network for the Inclusive Economic Development Cluster at GIZ, Gerald Jakowski, reiterated German government's commitment to working with the government of Ghana to fulfill the aspirations of the youth.
Over the past 30 years, GIZ has been involved in supporting Ghana in a wide range of sectors as part of the Ghanaian-German cooperation. Germany is one of Ghana's most important development partners. The aim of the German development cooperation with Ghana is to promote viable, pro-poor, inclusive economic growth and thus bolster Ghana's status as a middle-income country. For us, Ghana is a key partner in Africa, and based on our shared values, we continue to work hand in hand in key areas such as governance, renewable energy, job creation, technical and vocational education and training, skills development, and migration management, among others.
On his part, the Senior National Program Coordinator for the program Migration for Development, David Tete, says the center is committed to assist Ghanaian youth in their skills enhancement to use their potential in the most purposeful way.
Since our commissioning in December 2017, we have counseled more than 14,500 individuals and have offered more than 15,000 trainings to more than 15,000 clients, and facilitated more than 1,500 persons into employment, and an equal number of about 1,200 in setting up their own businesses. And I think that is a remarkable achievement for these 3 years, and we continue to do more.
Deputy Director of Policy Planning and Evaluation at the Ministry, Ellis Berko, also called for a collaborative support from the Ghanaian German Center to help bridge the gap in the labor sector.
Because I believe the youth are the most active segment of our population, and they are always looking for opportunities. So it is important we bring synergy, as the cluster head is here. How do we link, let's say, TVET training to employment promotion, getting people to start their own business? There has to be some linkage in these interventions.
Nicholas Brown's report for Joy Business. Insurance firm Imperial General Assurance says it will support government's quest to reduce COVID-19 infections to the barest minimum so that the economy could bounce back easily. Of course, Robert Wuga disclosed this when his outfit donated some COVID-19 preventive kits to Rashid Islamic School and St. Peter's Anglican School at Afankor here in Accra. Of course, we have more.
As part of efforts to help curtail the spread of COVID-19 protocols, Imperial General Assurance, a wholly owned Ghanaian business, donated COVID-19 preventive items, including nose masks, sanitizers, and Veronica buckets to Rashid Islamic School and St. Peter's Anglican Schools at Afankor in Accra. Managing Director Robert Wuga said corporate Ghana will continue to support government to achieve its programs.
Our company is an insurance company established to fix situations when unfortunate happen to people. But as corporate citizens, we deem it necessary to be concerned about what happens in our environment. Everybody is aware about the issue of COVID, which is giving us untold hardship to families and companies. So we deem it necessary to come and donate these items to these two schools in Accra so that we can help fix the situation. We want to use the opportunity to appeal to all Ghanaians to adhere strictly to the COVID protocols so that what has been lost so far, we can bring back lives and businesses for the prosperity of the nation.
Headmistress of Rashid Islamic School, Francisca Yenge, commended Imperial General Insurance for the support and appealed to corporate institutions to emulate the insurance firm.
We want to assure them that
the items will be put to good use. Donating these items to the school will go a long way to help learners adhere to the COVID-19 protocols, more especially to parents who are not able to afford to buy nose masks for their wards daily.
Imperial General Insurance is bent on playing an active role in deepening the insurance penetration in the country, which stands at a paltry 2%.
Let's now bring you a summary of international business news. And that'll be it for Business Sport. Is up next. Just stay.
Thank you for staying with us again on the Sport. Gary Al Smith here. I'll update you on what's happening in the Chelsea game. Timo Werner got himself a penalty, but I'll tell you about that momentarily. Ghana's rugby national team have begun preparations for the 2021 Rugby Africa Cup, despite administrative issues with the Rugby Football Union. The tournament begins in July. My colleague Asari Bediago was at the team's training ground and came through with this.
Mission Kampala has begun in earnest.
Get up, Prince, faster. Listen, your legs are too slow. You have to react faster, faster, faster. React, Prince. Get up, Prince. Get up. You need your stance on the ground. You need your stance on the grass. Your stance down. Now get up. Pump. Pump yourself up. Pump yourself up. Pump yourself up, Prince. Pump yourself up. Push, Prince. You are there. Now go up. Go up, Prince. Go up. Go up. Take it up. Hold down, Prince.
The Ghana rugby football team are leaving no stone unturned in their preparation for this year's Africa Cup, which comes off in Uganda. The Eagles lock horns with the host nation on July 10 and go head-to-head with Algeria. 8 days later, the best two teams make it to the 2022 Rugby Africa Cup, which serves as qualification to the 2023 Rugby World Cup. The Eagles are in high spirits and focused on their training regime despite the recent developments in Ghana rugby. Here is Yaya Lukman, a key member of the team.
From today, we forget those things. We focus on our goal. Right now, as we are standing right now, we focus on our goal, and we want those noise to disappear, and we will prove them wrong. Because right now, as things are going right now, is only one person that is still behind us, which is Mr. Herbert Mensah. The Ghana Rugby bank account has been locked, But still, we are here, he's pushing with his own money, and we are still going forward. And we will prove people wrong. What people are thinking about him, or those people that stay away or turn their back on him, like we will just prove them wrong. We are here, we are training. If things were going wrong with Herbert Mensah, like we won't be here today and be training. So everything is okay with us.
Lovemore Kuzurera has been in charge of the Eagles since 2016. The astute trainer from Zimbabwe is grateful to President of Ghana Rugby, Herbert Mensah, for his support.
As a coach, we have had everything that I requested for. You know, when you go to a country here in Africa, it's difficult. That when you request for something, there will always be some problems. Oh, we don't have money, we don't have this, we can't afford to do that. But every request that I have done as a coach of equipment, some that even came from UK, to some that even came from South Africa, everything that I have needed as a coach to make sure this team goes forward, I've always received it in time. So it's the same thing that's the key thing. If you have an administrator that supports the vision of the coach and what you want to achieve, that's the best thing you can get in this world. You can't get that in any African country. No matter even if you go to where I come from in Zimbabwe or in Namibia, it's difficult to get somebody who can actually finance something to that level. We are competing with bigger teams, not because of anything else, but because of the support. If you are a coach and you get the right equipment, the right resources that you want on the field, you succeed.
So, we'll be discussing all things European football, especially with the title race heating up. I'll give you an update on Chelsea versus Leicester now, but among the things we'll be doing tomorrow on PM Express is a special football edition. Evans Mensah and his crew will give way, including this guest.
Hello from wonderful Barcelona. This is Guillem Balaguer. I am a journalist and a writer. I'm a biographer of Messi, Cristiano, Pochettino, Pep Guardiola, Rafa Benitez. And I work as well for the BBC in the UK, for CBS in America, La Liga TV, all over the world. I've got my own podcast, the Pure Football Podcast. I write for the newspaper Sport, Spanish newspaper. Anyway, this long introduction is to tell you that I'll be with Gary Al Smith on PM Express at 9 p.m. Ghana time to talk all things football, from Messi to La Liga, whatever you want really. European football, the Champions League, the Europa League final, I've been both of them, so we can preview them. Anyway, it'll be a lovely chat and I cannot wait for it. That's Wednesday, 9 p.m. Ghana time with Gary Al Smith in PM Express.
Also on the show, so he works with Sky Sports and all those other things, is Raphael Honigstein. Football fans will know he's probably the most respected German football analyst in the English language, and we are really thrilled to have him on Joy News tomorrow on PM Express. Meanwhile, Chelsea are leading by 2-1. Kelechi Iheanacho has just pulled one back for Leicester City. Will it be a great finale in the Premier League? Join Hans Mensah at 10:30 for Fan Zone for more. I'm Gary Al Smith. Thank you for your time.
And that'll be all for the bulletin for this evening. But up next, we bring you PM Express with Aisha Ibrahim. Do stay tuned in. Have a good night.